Like,
I'll show it in a
too
second.
much instruction.
What's the output versus not in,
It's
like the
meant
right
like-
amount of instructions?
It's meant like less rules. So stop writing, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. Instead you write something more natural language, write code that follows best practices, that is not over-engineered.
A lot of skills like mine, and I'm sure a lot of people are, they're meta prompted with Opus. So, and when Opus, especially like the 4.7 plus models are it always adds more than it really needs to. So as a result, like many of the skills built into the system are by accidentally more verbose because of how Opus writes them. So what I did, I just took Matt Pocock's, he has a how to write great skills, something like write great skills, something like that. And it has an instructions like how he writes them. And I gave that to Fable and asked him like go through all my skills and rewrite them. And that loop below made them better.
Oh, so ask.
So it removes.
I mean, that's what I did. Yeah. Oh, totally.
Yeah, it didn't rewrite like the instructions and any of that, but it cleaned all the noise that like flows that Opus had written into the skill files. So,
Do you think like through the verbosity they can get like degraded results?
I think so because it's every sentence means something to the other. So if there's just a lot of stuff, and Opus tends to like if you create UIs with that, it always adds these instructions and placeholders and hints and text all over the place. So it's always talking more than it has to. And as a result, if you create a skill with Opus, it's almost certainly something that doesn't have to be there.
Right. Think less. Don't stop talking to yourself so much.
Yeah, because the skill file is then exploded with unnecessary commentary, you know.
Right.
And then what the expose that Ian mentioned, it also says it can confuse the model because it has to rethink all the rules. Like, did I contradict with your rules? Oh, I have to go back. Think about it.
We're always like, let's do workflow.
Yeah, the ambiguity. Yeah, so I think the rules are. That's like.
I want to know what everyone else is for.
Like 100 rules. Like, do not use these symbols. Avoid this. Do not do that.
Yeah, because the skill, and every time you run into a problem with the skill, your way of solving that. So this is like over about a year and a half. Doesn't rule add to the class. The whole thing is it doesn't mean anything.
I still have that. I really have to clean up mine.
And like you have to make the assumption that like their models, they understand. They know more about what so you can try to educate somebody like smart.
That's true.
The reason the issue that we've had a couple of is like the other one is how do we get agents involved in there without breaking the TOS, which we can't. So luckily for us, it's actually like finally we now have I think
Have you seen Buzz yet? It's Jack Dorsey's new open source.
I heard it was
I think it was
That's
like the
specifically
first,
for
I think it was for like the
agents,
first
right?
day.
Dorsey stuff.
Now it's
Like
Instagram.
Instagram.
I've been running it. I'm probably moving our whole company.
I think it's sort of like this future thing of like you can have your company and have the public underneath there.
Yeah, that's how they're building it like communities, but you can also run your company on it. You can share agents between communities, which I think is WhatsApp is good.
All different channels.
That's what I like Buzz has. They have the threading, they have all the different channels. And their roadmap is super long.
Like I knew we talked about this many times. Like as much as we want to, the best situation would be like have an agent always without channels to moderate. That's the biggest thing. And you have to do it as a what's happening? And so I was thinking maybe I actually thought this was
The only hard part about this setup is that it's email, which I think is all open. I think that's
Because there's imported stuff. How do we buy the same price? All the way here, it's the same if I went to California and bought it from them. And I think it might be like that with the mob or the goods. Unless you live in some city around the world, everything is helpful. Things like here, we're all busy.
We do all the.
you know what else? You look into this. Did you look into this find it all? Yeah. Buzz has this whole shared concept. Pretty much. Yeah, and like it's like a shared piece, so like everybody can basically share it.
Which I think is like if you look at like just the WhatsApp channel alone, it's I know not all of them. We don't encourage it either. And there's a reason. Marcus and I are getting too much. Yeah.
Lately it's been like,
So can you imagine if like, we encouraged this, and there would need to be a almost permanent moderator? But it's like with AI, but that means getting on the
you're back in.
I'll take still a little.
Yeah, I've been in the States for the last 7 months. You came back?
Yeah, we came back after the.
Thank you for coming in.
I'll be back in the
Yeah. No, I knew you were. But really, you're like our coding student over here.
Yeah, it's like, you were in like
I'm gonna start coding these and not say one word.
yeah, that's what I chatted with you. You were on your way there, like, oh, he's American. Okay.
I tried the voice stuff yesterday, and it got me to complete Jarvis.
Oh, really?
The new version they added.
Okay.
Voice just about your content. Yeah, I got it.
Right. Okay.
It'll sit and talk to you, but you know when it's thinking and processing.
Okay.
So I needed to replace it.
Okay.
But the communication and speech
You actually keep them down here.
it added on your Facebook marketplace, basically condos and all that stuff.
Are you mostly there? Or?
No, I'm mostly here.
Build out the whole plan, got to the spec, and then start with that place.
Wow, you can
Early Jarvis.
there's people that
It's still kind of like wonky with the text and stuff.
so there's all these systems that you can use. Shoot, I'm using all these systems and like just 6% a year I give up these things.
Are you going to still try?
Just the first year, they're going to
Yeah, so
because everyone's saying that you know, these little things that affect you.
What's so my
what are you gonna do?
I love doing that kind of
Okay,
that's the hard part to still down to and hope it all works and voice it right.
Oh,
Not now, but maybe something.
Yeah, the BuzzFeed
When did you do that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure, that was all this.
The actual sequencing is on sort of
Wow, nice. Good pop test. Wow, that's almost like,
Yeah, I'm like, we're gonna have 2019. So,
We still use it to be,
I almost just
Because it's overly complicated. Yeah, I love it.
Alright, we'll start in like 5 minutes.
The pieces are being put together. It's like visionaries can take this and start making
send around.
Yeah.
And then slowly it's like sort of, you don't have to just good quality email, so people. Right.
Yeah, we're planning. I just did one last night.
It takes a bit to process. You're still
Yeah, we'll do it.
Yeah.
Step that'll be the bigger one. Grab a coffee.
We have an office in Cafe. No, we took up Sandy Gallery. It's a 4-story building. But I have to be there most of the day. If you're in that area.
Just going to charge that fee.
We're also if you have an official policy. So we'll like
Not really a private club, but who gets in there? But yeah, let's, no, leave around 11:30 here, so. Yeah, no, sir. Back up.
Oh yeah, I've never seen. I've known him for like Don did months ago. He was like, hey, he went to the chamber. He had experience when we talked to the chamber doing the sales pitch. He actually gave me a bunch of videos that he did to play along with it. And I had the screen up there, but right now I just have the things. But he liked it. I mean, it's like everything is an improvement. We've got 4 senses. 4 set like light, sound, vibration. So all of them. We just rebuilt it, and we're going to have an exhibition down in Bangkok.
Yeah, I remember you
7
saying
to 9.
I didn't know you were rebuilding it. Oh yeah.
It's like 3 meters by 2.5 meters tall. So how are you going to ship that and carry it in? And you have to break it down. But it was a prototype, so we had to break it down. So it was like it's a lot of work behind the guy who did to help build, to create the frame, do all. I mean, ideally, I think it's a lot better now, but it was just like, are we going to make it in time? So last night, I had my work till like 7. They started at 10, so they were just putting everything together and wiring everything up. It's a magic of it's so many lines.
But the money was very high.
That's like Chris said, big contest yesterday.
No. The exhibition is set to next month. So we build it here, test it out, tear it down, ship it. It gets there like the 5th or the 6th. Then we build it. Yeah, and then we have the exhibition. But we wanted to test it out for at least 3 weeks here to make sure, like, is this really?
So they're like in a big scene. You're like,
Is this really going to work? Did we miss anything? Yeah. Right.
It's just like it breaks up like during a long scene.
Yeah, and I was thinking, like, I mean, right now it's all prototype, even the interface. It's just like so many different one. I just want to once we understand what we control, how we control it, tear all that away and put it into the storage unit there, and then just
You can hire like a task rabbit.
What a better time. I know it's not
Oh, yeah.
right.
I mean, Burning Man makes sense. I've been 15 times. I've never even got one.
I think it's incredible. I really want to try to do stuff with it, you know? But it's like those frontier levels are so hard. Like, whenever you do that, locally, you feel like you're downgrading the listing here. You know, like,
There's so much
I'm sure there is.
Let's go ahead and begin.
It's like a festival.
All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and start.
I just think of like all the SF people in accident.
I'm going to go ahead and kick things off. And thank you guys for coming today. This is our Saturday Living on the Frontier, which is just keeping up with the news, trying to keep up with all the updates that happened in the AI world. And Yeah, let's jump right into it. So, by the way, all the slides and all the data and everything is online. We are also live streaming right here. And let's see, first topic of discussion, obviously Opus 5, as we were all asleep, this just dropped. So I don't expect anyone to have like a really spent a lot of time with it unless you didn't sleep at all.
I didn't sleep at all.
You didn't sleep at all, so.
No, I had a lot of work to do.
But you used Opus 5 for your work?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay. Oh yeah, you put in a message that you used Opus 5 and then you had.
Oh, it's great. I tested it 1-to-1. One, it's better than Fable. So, hands
The
down.
rate's better.
So for what I do, so mostly like I ran benchmarks against it, everything. I mean, I've been running Fable for like 5 days straight. Spent tons of tokens money on it to try to solve some of these memory issues and solutions. And we tried a bunch of different scenarios. And within 5 minutes, it was like, oh, I checked all these different benchmarks, checked all the data, and here's these. We do a lot of computational math on it, right? And it's like, here's the solution, right? And I was like, wow, this is like 5 minutes in. I've been working on this for 5 days. I was like, okay, let's test it all night. And got a lot of progress on our work. So officially, LCM now, with Opus 5's help, beats Long Mem Eval 1, Long Mem Eval 2, and we wouldn't have had that before. I mean, we were close. We definitely beats Hindsight, Honcho, etc. But through that all night working with it, it was able to just crunch more information and handle, when you're looking at, so like Long Mem Eval 2 uses about 25 million tokens.
Yeah.
And so it's this massive corpus you have to go through. And it's also agentic, so that is testing the agent harness as well. So it doesn't matter what model you're on, it's actually the harness itself. And that's why it's supposed to use like Quinn 9b. And it was like, oh, let me just optimize this real quick. I need a quant version of this. Okay, great, I'm gonna test one versus the other. It was just, when it came down to how it looks at things, it just designed the benchmarks and evals way faster and better than I had to like prompt Fable 5 to do. One of the things people have talked about in the Fable 5 are like, oh, well, you know, they have to prompt it on evals. Mine just, you know, gotten better over time because I had, instructions and runbooks on it. But Opus 5, you know, it was like, okay, I already know what I need to do to eval this. So it's good. Definitely, and it's cheaper. Oh my God! In terms of
half the price of Fable.
Yeah.
And I think I heard something about token efficiency from Ian. And
Yeah, it was there's a the Pareto test.
Yeah, Pareto test. 80-20 rule.
Yeah, and it basically a task that Fable would have cost, I think, $50, cost Opus 5 about $3. Because it not only is it more efficient, or not only does it cost less, it's half the price, but it uses about half the tokens as well. Even though, like, you know, supposedly on longer running tasks, it still burns tokens, but it still seems to be pretty efficient.
It was on par with all night, so.
It was for that Pareto test.
quota.
It was the same as
The whole
Grok
week
4
quota.
5.
Yeah, 5% on Fable, as you know, might go real quick, right?
Yeah.
5% Opus. I mean, I used it running all night, heavy task.
Yeah.
I think I probably like
How many hours
30,
is that?
40 million tokens.
8 hours or so.
8 hours since it came out.
8 hours.
So
Yeah.
it's still running right now. And it's just doing more benchmarks. We're running like 4 or 5 benchmarks at a time.
Yeah.
5.6 can handle like one eval without everything breaking. Like I'd say you can run one benchmark, and then because the problem is if you try to handle 2 or 3, it'll actually start, oh, I mixed these up, oh, I forgot about this, oh, I broke this one, oh, I used the wrong scoring. Fable can handle, 2 or 3 pretty easily. This one can run like 6, and just keep it really organized. And just, I don't know how much better it is as a model. I mean, I reviewed the benchmark. I was like, I look at like 0.1% in a few areas, but I think it's just better trained for how it uses workload, how it thinks about the data.
Yeah. Yeah. We have, so as is the case with any new model release, it's always we have to kind of give it 2 weeks to see how things play out. There's always a day one sort of seesaw effect, day 1, day 2 seesaw effect. I just quickly browsing the interwebs, saw both sides. I saw like people saying like this thing is the most verbose. Like they had a lot of negative reviews, and then I also saw like a lot of positive reviews as well. So I feel like that's just the consistent 1 day effect you see from any model release, right? So that tracks normally.
It uses a shit ton of reasoning tokens. Like in
Yeah.
terms of what it shows you, I mean, it might give you 2 or 3 pages.
Yeah.
And then it just will say the same thing. But I mean, I personally like reading the reasoning tokens. So.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people do. I know that looking at the reasoning stuff is how you sort of get your intimacy with the model and trying to mirror how it thinks.
That benchmark over there is actually, because what's stands out there for me is all of those top scoring ones are where it's clearly coupled with code, the hardness. So this below down there's stuff like medical stuff and legal stuff that are not so great. Those are clearly like the model capabilities. But the one where it really shines is the stuff where it needs to use Claude code. So it comes in bundle. It's a package deal with harness and the model, not the model itself, which is all about this way it seems to, these vendors are really working on both, not just the model, but whatever the harness is using that.
It's always the combination.
Combination,
Yeah,
both.
yeah. Which we know that now where we are today that matters. I mean, we know like the open source companies have learned this and they're now rolling out their own harnesses just for this reason. That it's the combination that matters. I totally agree. And with Opus, we have, so on screen is all the graphs released by Anthropic. That's just a lot of good homework and reading material that you could do. What I will go over is there is a post from Tariq from Anthropic, one of the developers from Anthropic. And I want to, so he released this along with Opus 5. And this is a article written on how to prompt, how to do context engineering with Opus 5. And when I saw some of the negative reviews on Opus 5, it was because they definitely weren't following what's being said here. So let me see if I can find the important part here, because I know it, here it is, okay. So from going back to Fable, and I know we spoke about this a few times, and Anthropic publicly stated that they removed 80% of the system instructions to get Fable to just basically work better. And then, although they didn't acknowledge it, it seemed like they had effectively done the same thing with Opus 4.8. Now, Opus 5 is in the picture. Seems a little bit closer to Fable and how it operates. And that whole thing about like removing the system instructions, removing 80% of your system instructions because something else should be there, that's now more true than it was for Opus 4.8. And so this, what we're seeing here in this picture is, Tariq is basically saying, look, all the way up until today, all the way up until when Fable came out, the way you would write your skills, for example, or the way you would put instructions in your Claude MD file for agents that you're building, that stuff is, you might have to either refactor that, and you also need to maybe refactor your perspective on how you go about doing these things. Because what they're saying here, if we look at the top one, we're all probably used to this idea that in your Claude MD or in your skill, you're putting like this list of instructions, do this, then this, and then this. And what Tariq is pointing out is that that won't work anymore. Instead, you need to, for example, give Claude the judgment parameters as opposed to the instructions. And I was watching a video from Dan Schipper from Every, or whatever his company is called. And he was pointing this out, that their skills had like a lot of instructions. And I think that immediately upon using Opus 5, it was like operating not at its best. And then they just did a thing where they said, you know what, rewrite our skills from scratch using Opus. And the results were better. And I think that just kind of goes to show that the prompting, the way you prompt Opus 5, the way you're going to prompt this new family of models, really matters. Probably like we're just having sort of a change in how we need to approach these AI models moving forward. So
it's like the mental model is almost like the left side of it, the old one, is when you're micromanaging a team member, some sort of junior team member, like, I need you to get this done, but you gotta do it like this and this and this. Whereas the new side is more like you outsourcing the whole thing to some sort of expert consultant. This is what I need to get it done. I don't care how.
yeah,
Like something.
yeah. It's actually, in a way, it's a little bit easier to steer in a sense because it's less burden on you mentally.
You don't have to think about all. I shouldn't think about all the little details. Let that expert to do
Yeah.
it for you. You just manage the big picture. I guess kind of look, fix that, something like that.
Yeah, I'm curious what you could do, what one could do reflection-wise on, you know, interpreting your prompts over the last week to see, hey, am I following this or not? So would be an interesting experiment to do.
Yeah. I'm writing way too detailed prompts. I still have the habit of like when prompts are really long and it's there's like short, like you said yesterday, like shorter prompts are better. It saves time and it probably works better with the new model as well. Like it's quite.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like just vomiting a whole lot of constraints in the model is actually, that has a price that you pay there. And that's like, we might be used to that because of the pre-Fable era, where it was like, we'll just talk into the mic for 15 minutes. I know in the GPT world, that's what's happening a lot right now, is that it's actually encouraged over with the GPT models to basically talk nonstop. I saw one of the staff members in GPT yesterday talking on about, they would just like talk for 10 minutes straight into the microphone. So it's interesting. I think we're going to see like this, things going in two directions. Like on the GPT model side, maybe that's what's happening, and then on the Claude side, it's like, I don't know. I call it poetic, but
I think you can still talk. I mean, have you used the new steering? Like, I don't know if they did multi-threading or the last 2 or 3 updates. I've had steering just fine instead of queuing, and I mean
for Claude.
for Claude. Like
Oh, this came out yesterday, right? The new
I've
steering?
had it
Claude
for
can
2
steer?
updates, so since last week, I've had where nothing
like
queues anymore.
instant.
I'm talking to Claude right now, and it's still working. And as soon as I say something, it just adds it in straight to the chat, and then reasoning continues. It's like multi-threaded reasoning.
Yeah.
And so I think
it doesn't queue anymore.
I don't even have queue.
Yeah, for a long time it would just straight up queue.
Yeah, it would force queue. But I have direct steering. It's in the middle of reasoning. I can add it in. It just slides it right into reasoning,
Yeah.
and it just keeps on reasoning then adds it in for the next thread.
Interesting.
And so
Interesting.
that's what I've been using for the last 2 days, but even more in Opus 5.
Yeah.
And I'm steering it right now. I'm talking to it. It's like talking to the reasoning and it back and forth while it's running the evals. And that was a problem before.
It was a problem, yeah.
It was a huge problem. It would just automatically steer in the wrong direction. And now it has a very clear, like it's still working on the directives, and I'm just asking some questions. Like, oh, let me check that real quick while it's still running.
Yeah.
Okay, it checks it. So I don't use by the way anymore.
Oh, yeah. I still use by the way. I like it a lot.
I don't need to now because before, if I asked a question, the problem was in Q, it would just derail the model. Like it would just be like, oh, okay, go the wrong direction. But now it can just answer me in the reasoning side, and then it just keeps working.
Interesting. Yeah. All right. So okay, so Opus 5, it's too new for us to like talk a lot about. So I think it's more like next week we would probably deeper dive into and also just kind of review over the next 7 days what happens and what are people saying about Opus 5. What does it have to do maybe with the open models and so on, or how does it compare to them? Because I know that's one of the big talking points that's happening right now. But yeah, that's, I would say, the biggest news of the day, but it's too new, so I'm probably going to move on. Does anybody want to share or add anything about Opus 5 before we just going to move away from the slide?
I'm just wondering what's their economy like? If they release a model that's equal or even better to Fable, but half the price, I mean, what's their idea of economy and pricing? What's their point in this?
I think they had to do it.
Just
I don't think it was by design. I think they were forced into a scenario where people are switching, people are looking, oh, okay, well, I'm getting more tokens with this over here, right? I'm very limited in the amount of Fable I get. And then, Opus 4.8 is a huge downgrade from Fable, right? So I think they're probably losing a little bit of money on it, I think. So
just marketing. I mean, there's no
that's my opinion.
GPU economics behind it, it's just marketing.
I have no idea.
Nobody knows.
I wouldn't know. I mean, like these models, they take enough time to train that whatever sort of drama occurred in the last 2 weeks is sort of irrelevant, because you have to imagine that Opus 5 was in training. So I remember someone keeps account of like how long it takes between model releases, and that number has been progressively going lower and lower. And so like from 4.7 to 4.8, it was like 42 days or something like that. But actually from 4.8 to 5,
it actually went up. So it's the first time that the data point actually shows that it took longer to go from the recent model we had to 5. So it clocked in at like 50 or 60 days.
Well, I think he was asking about like the cost, right? Is they're charging the same as Opus 4.8, and that's what I meant is like they're charging the same price as Opus 4.8 when it's obviously better than 4.8. So I think that's
Why would you
influence.
disable Go right now?
Well, you remove 4.8 from your model list,
Yeah.
right? Because it's we have to guess. We have no idea the number of parameters, if it's equal or close to 4.8. We don't know any of that. And maybe they reveal it in the next 7 days. Maybe likely not. But it would be too much guesswork. I don't know.
I thought they did announce the parameters of 5.
They don't. Well, there's people who like sort of leak, but
Okay.
I don't know if it's. You can never tell if it's true or not. All right, I'll move on from Opus 4. From Opus 5. We'll come back to it next week, and we'll sort of see how the 7 days, what the evaluation is over the 7 days. So, like this is our second Saturday where I'm doing this different format from normal. So I'm trying to like get all the platform updates and sort of group them together. So let's go over GPT platform updates. I just want to show, hey, look, this is all the stuff that came out literally since last week, and let's just jump into it. So one of the things that came out from GPT, this was yesterday, is writing tones. And I think this is very similar to output styles from Claude, which is something I think almost nobody uses. It might be the case for GPT as well. Output style in Claude would effectively change the way Claude talked to you, and now GPT has this thing, writing tones. They didn't really say anything. That's the tweet. That's the feature update. It just says writing tones and a picture. So my guess here is like you can put the tone of how you want things to be written, and maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, I have no idea.
Does it replace the personality, or is that an add-on to the personality thing in Codex?
Good question. Good
Has
question.
anyone tried it? I thought you could just tell a model to use a tone anyways. This sounds kind of like a filler feature.
This might so like output styles, the way output styles the way output styles works in Claude is that it would apply for all sessions.
Yeah, the output styles in Claude are very different.
And then for writing tones, we don't know to what extent that applies, but all we know is that they pushed out a feature called writing tones.
Do you use the output styles in Claude? I thought they were like kind of deprecated.
I tried it a little while ago. When Opus 4.7 something came out, I tried to make it more concise, shorter with the output style. I didn't make any difference at all. It was like useless. It didn't do anything.
Yeah.
I just,
Yeah, they had a couple of there's like a hidden store you can access some of the beta features and stuff like that and skills. And I tested all the output styles, and they had something that they literally would mark them deprecated.
Yeah, they removed output styles actually a long time ago because it wasn't being used, and then there was a small minority of people complaining, and they brought it back, and the only love they ever gave it, this was last year, and the only love that they ever gave output styles was they released one called Proactive, and it actually like just totally changes the system prompt for Claude models, and it just tells it, don't ask questions, just go. So that's a little tip and trick that they don't advertise. It's like hidden somewhere in the documentation.
There's a teaching one too. It's actually not bad.
Education, yeah.
Yeah, the education one that actually it's like I did this reason for this. I chose this architecture for this.
Yeah.
I tried it, and then actually I put some of that into my own system prompt. So, because I like the model when it chooses an architecture to defend it, right? But I didn't like how the output style uses like little brackets and stuff, and like it inserts it in a hook or whatever. But I did enjoy that little tidbit out of it.
All right, other GPT platform updates. Site analytics. This GPT has been rolling out features that are like, I think it's I know Sites is one of them. I think it's a plugin if I'm correct, and you can basically host sites. I think it's on GPT servers if I'm correct. Is that?
Yeah, everybody gets like you get like a what is it, VPS now with it.
Yeah, and so now you can host it. I think it's only individual based. I don't know if it's team based, but this feature is saying that you're now going to get analytics. It's in testing. It's in public testing, but that's one of the things that's coming down the pipelines from GPT. I think this is actually super cool. Many weeks back, we've talked about this for a couple of weeks actually on end about how both companies are likely going to move in the direction of putting all of your stuff, making you do everything in their walled garden, in their servers, and you sort of host it from there, because maybe that's how they protect you with these new cyber attack vectors that are coming out. So I just see this as another +1 push into that direction, that they definitely are like, use our infrastructure, we'll serve you, we'll protect you, and so on. So vendor lock-in is going to occur from this.
Did you see that guy that got it to load Gemma into his own, like the ChatGPT server, and he was running a local model in the model?
No, I didn't know. That's interesting.
Yeah, I think they blocked it right afterwards, but he posted, he was like, yeah, I got it to install a local model in, and I'm running a local model in that model.
Was that because it was like a security
violation, because obviously you can use it to probe the system and figure things out.
I think they're also going after like Squarespace and Wix and all.
Yeah,
those
kill
other-
lovable.
You got the mom and pop starting to get into the desktop app. And like, hey, you want to build a site? It shows a couple variations and boom, their site's up. Not really having to worry about all the other nuances.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
locked
Yeah,
in
good point.
again, locked into the vendor.
If you have 1 billion ChatGPT users and you only have a subset of 6 or 7 million codecs, you have to bridge that gap, right? And
Yeah.
trying to bring more of those features to the everyday person. The everyday person was sending their friends local host, and they were like, "Look at my website," right? Like,
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, we went over it last week where because of the 5.6 release, we saw they were being so public about this, where the GPT team was like, hey, we were at 5 million active users, now we're at
10
6,
million today.
7, 8, and then now they're at 10. There's actually a post that came out from Thibaut on the 21st that they hit 10 million users. So you're right, like that you have to assume that a large percentage of these people are probably like a mom and pop business. They don't know what Vercel is, they have no idea what Cloudflare is, they're not going to learn, and they shouldn't have to. Other platform updates, Health in GPT,
Not yesterday.
yeah, it came out yesterday.
For
So
US people.
do you know about this? Do you want to?
Oh, I didn't know.
No, it's Apple connection for US only right now.
Well, I can give Sam all my medical records directly.
Yeah.
No longer have to drag and drop.
There are so many trainers who just like this, like either they're very elated or this messes up what they're doing. I'm not sure.
The first slide was like a list of providers, right? I don't know any of them, but
Kaiser go back to the first slide.
Kaiser Permanente is huge.
That's how you how big they are.
there,
It's a health provider.
Yeah, these are all California.
like one more second there. This one are those? Yeah, I assume those are like providers that are already gathering your data from like smart devices, IoT, and oh great. So
So now Apple Health actually. So that's the
Yeah,
if you have Apple Health,
frontier
you can sync all
intelligence
yeah.
working on your body now.
What could go wrong?
I mean,
Everybody can cure their own cancer now.
Your data is already out there.
It says,
But
so
you
let's read the headline here. Open Health from the sidebar to securely connect and manage accounts, view a timeline of synced records, and explore recent data and trends. With your permission, GPT can draw on your connected medical records and Apple Health information to help you see a more complete picture, track changes over time, and have more informed, personalized conversations.
Like, people are always using GPT for
Health
medical
questions,
questions. It's just like, so.
Makes sense.
I'm not saying like our privacy goes out the window, but it's just.
But it's funny they didn't mention privacy at all. They didn't mention HIPAA, privacy, like it'd be like the typical.
That's probably why it's American only, right? So if you,
Yeah, it's probably America only because of that. The EU will never have this feature.
But the next step would be your health insurance wants access to that, and like, are you really working
Well, your health,
out? What
your
the
health
fuck are you
insurance already
doing?
has access to it.
Yeah, your health insurance does have access to it. In the US.
What to
Oh, you mean to the chat?
Well,
Apple
even in Thailand, you
Health?
have access to it.
Yeah.
Oh, in Thailand, yeah.
But wait, to all your smart devices.
No, just any of your
All your
your medical
medical
data
records.
can go to your insurance in the US.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, but now your health insurance wants to know, are you really working out? Because some are giving you discounts.
Yeah, no, they read your smartwatch. They are doing that with the Aura and the Whoops and stuff already, so. And if you start to eat unhealthy, it's like, oh, you had KFC today?
Yeah.
Your insurance is going up.
$100 extra. There we go.
That's the future.
So there we go. All right, so we see it coming. Great. All right, so next we have another update from the GPT world. We're going to do all GPT, and then we'll do Anthropic after, and then the other platforms after. This is, I think actually this is not a new feature, but I think it's instead GPT promoting their scheduled tasks feature.
Connected to my Slack, email, calendar.
I will play this from the beginning. I apologize. Let me.
You can use the new ChatGPT desktop app to prioritize your workload and schedule tasks you need to do all the time. Let me show you how. I've set up a chat called Chief of Staff in Work. It's connected to my Slack, email, and calendar, so we can pull together urgent tasks, deadlines, meetings, and any other context that I need before I start the day. If I need to know what to do next, I can just ask. And I can take this one step further. By creating a scheduled task, ChatGPT sends me a daily brief every weekday, so I can see what needs my attention while I'm having my morning coffee. A lot of my work is around technical onboarding at OpenAI, and we get a lot of ideas from internal team members to make our onboarding better. That feedback comes from a lot of places, mostly Slack, Notion, and Drive. So I set up another scheduled task to help triage all that feedback. Now it will run in the background each week in a separate tab called Feedback Triage. It will generate a Google Doc that summarizes the weekly feedback and post it to our team Slack channel. Right now, this runs on my laptop. But if I want the whole team to use it, I can turn it into a workspace agent. It allows me to take a local workflow, like this triage flow, and run it in the cloud as a separate agent. Converting a scheduled task into a workspace agent is easy. Just ask ChatGPT. Now that it's in the cloud, my team can use it directly, either from ChatGPT.
All right, so there are 2 points there that let's see if we can zoom in on just to kind of learn. One of them, right here, where she says, send me this brief every weekday, whatever that word is there. Morning, yep. So this right here is showing that GPT has a tool access call to adjusting your scheduled tasks, which is great. It's better than you having to like click the little button on the menu. So that's Claude has a very similar thing where it also has access to, I think the tool name is literally called Schedule Task. But it's cool to see now that that's provided on both platforms. And then the other thing to point out is this right here, this use of where you can add your plugins, and just look how they're chaining them all together. So I think that's interesting to see. And the workspace agent is also pretty new, so they sort of put all this stuff together in this little video.
It's been around for about a month now.
It came out a while ago, and then now they're like advertising it. Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Next update from GPT platform. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. They're expanding access to hard spend limits. I think this is just so you have more control over where your money's going. Yeah, so being able to enforce spending, I don't know if that applies to those of us in the room, but it's good to know the option exists. And another update this week, this is this OpenAI presence for enterprises. Helps companies deploy trusted voice and chat agents across customer internal workflows. I think this is related to the voice agents release that is coming out, which there's another slide to cover that. And I know there's been a lot of viral videos going out from the voice features that are coming out from GPT. We'll get to that in a moment. But this is a thing here that exists. I guess if you're a large company. So just interesting to see that the GPT, that OpenAI is just pushing more and more stuff. All right, what else do we have? Other updates. Hopefully these are really interesting for us. Let's see. Codex code review can now use custom repository rules. this came out in July 22nd. Does anyone use Codex Code Review?
It's automatic.
It's automatic?
I use
Use it a lot?
Yeah, it can link to your GitHub repo. Like every PR, it will, generate some feedback. Mostly it's like very exact, very accurate, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It will give like feedbacks about certain bugs of certain lines that there may be some problems, etc.
Can you tell it to auto-fix?
I don't
know,
think-
but you can have another agent that watch the PR's comments, and they two can kind of communicate.
Yeah, so auto review, there's multiple versions of auto review. There's like there's the Codex auto review inside of Codex. You can choose it runs as a bot. There's auto review. They bugged this last week by name, like they all named the same thing. There's auto review that your agent can call on its own, and that's what this is you can set the model for it now, the parameters. Before it was Spark like 2 months ago. Then they changed it to GT 5.4, which like you don't want 5.4 for reviewing your stuff anymore. And so now you can. This has just been giving some love to auto review. There's also an auto review skill, it's Codex review. So you have to differentiate between like 4 different variants. There's you go onto the Codex website and turn on the auto review bot, and then there's auto review in the app you turn on, and then there's Codex review as a skill that the agent can call to. So this is one of the reasons 5.6 had problems with so many loops, because it just kept running multiple reviews, and then you end up with all this extra hardening. But auto review is the built-in Codex auto run tool that runs out when it detects PR. So, and you can enable it in the settings, just turn on auto review.
So this is them basically giving more love to this feature, and great. That's great for GPT users. It's really good.
If you do use this feature, you might not want to use the auto review skill, because you're going to get both, right? Or if you use the auto review in the website with the Codex app, you're going to get multiple reviews, and they can loop each other, which is a problem. That's
right.
Like that you run into this ultimate hardening loop. So if you do use them, it's good because they use different models and different quotas. But also, if you do, you need to have a governor or something in there deciding. Otherwise, you can literally harden forever.
So does code review go under a different usage, or is it
Codex,
one of those?
Code review, it used to use
Shared?
Spark. But now you can set it to use whatever model, and it is shared. Well, you have the Spark is a unique usage you can use separately. But
Right.
most people don't know that they can use Spark separately. But it's dumb as shit, and I wouldn't use it anyways. So, if you're using Spark for code review, it's not very good.
Spark is the 1,000 token per second.
It's the instant version of their.
Yeah.
It's 5.3/Spark.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's a weird thing because it's a separate quota still, and you can use it if you want, but most people don't know you can use it.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. All right, let's see, 10 million users, we already saw that. Codex gets faster and easier to navigate. So it's, I don't know if we covered it last week, and I don't know if it came out last week or this week. There was a very big drama going on about, it's funny, you were talking about it many, many weeks ago, about how Codex would write to an SQLite file so much that I think
damaging the drives.
Damaging the drives, and that's
still doing it.
Yeah, so that became a huge topic, and I'm wondering if this is sort of a step into that direction of look, we're sort of dealing with it. But I do recall you talking about this, and it's just interesting how all these people came out look, this thing is going to break your computer. It's doing an unbelievable amount of writes. There's nothing even remotely close, another program remotely close to what's happening here.
Yeah, the problem is if you're using because SQLite is great, but because of how the wall works and how many you can't have concurrent writes, it just builds up this massive list of writes, and it'll just keep writing. By the time it gets back to it's written it's going to cycle back around.
Yeah.
So you're just constantly writing to the drive. There's no solution to that besides a better hard drive. So there's newer models that can handle that.
Or them fixing sort of how that whole thing works, right? Maybe that would be.
Yeah, you can't. So the problem is you can't fix it because SQLite is designed with 5 threads, max reading, 1 write, and so it's a problem with how they've chosen design. The Codex team is a bunch of idiots, and so Like, there's like the team working on the Codex app. The engineers behind like the models, everything are great, but the app is literally just like a bunch of, we talked about this, acquired CEOs, Pash. I got on phone with Pash this week about it because he was like, oh, like, because I was one of the big SQLite fans back in the day. And he was like, well, we chose this because, you had a bunch of people were like, oh, this is really great. Yeah, it's great for like a couple threads. You can't run more than like 4 or 5 threads without slowing down your tokens. So I've said this before, like, because the write limit is limited to 1 concurrent, if you run like 6 or 7 threads, you're actually slowing down your token usage, and because it's waiting between turns, you blow up your token usage. Like, ideally, Codex, because of how it's designed, can use like 1 thread really well at the highest token per second. But the more threads you start writing to, because of how SQLite works, then it just starts slowing down your token per second and actually end up burning more tokens. That's something they haven't solved because you can't solve it with SQLite. They need to move to like PG Lite or Better Vec, like, and the weird thing is they're still halfway in, halfway out. So like the way the model works is like you have this massive 1 gigabyte thread where it stored everything, and it has to go through SQLite first, and then it goes out to like just a saved file. And so it's not, there's barely anything even SQLite anymore. It's just for the management of the threads. That was their way of trying to balance as a hybrid. But because you're still limited by the SQLite, it's, if you're running 20 threads, you're literally just burning tokens. That's why I run like several Codex desktop sessions. If I want to get the maximum tokens per second and the value per tokens.
What they're storing in the database?
Sorry?
What is storing in the SQLite?
They're showing everything. Tool calls. You end up with the threads are like you look at the threads end up being multiple gigabytes. It's because they store these massive. Like, it's what they store it in a format. It's JSON. It's SQLite to JSON, and they like it that way because they can train off their data, your data, right? Because everything's being duplicated in their system for training purposes. And so it's one of the reasons, like OpenCloud moved fully to SQLite versus JSON. But at the end of the day, like you run into a concurrency issue. You just can't, because SQLite can only write one at a time. You can have a wall that's multiple gigabytes. So the wall is like the WL is basically you're waiting for information to be entered in, right? But this is the problem. Like what's happening is you end up with gigabytes of data being waited to written, and that data is already being overwritten, and so it's just constantly writing to the drive. And so you never actually, as long as the thread is running, you're never not writing to the drive, and that will damage your drive over time.
Yeah, I don't have the numbers, but it was just some obscene number of writes and reads that were occurring that is just not normal.
Claude doesn't have the same problem. They just throw everything into a thread. So, and there's no middle layer.
Also, SSDs have a read-write lifetime limit.
Yeah. It's just, it kills it very quickly.
Yep.
If you're using consumer grade. If you're an enterprise or like a server, it doesn't matter.
Well, it still does.
It does, but
you shouldn't have an app writing.
But your MacBook, you're going to kill your MacBook.
Yeah.
Is this when they're going to come up with their own hard drive or something? Come up with that little keyboard.
Yeah, that's actually probably a feature. They're like, oh.
Well, the best, hopefully they release a Rust version of whatever database, some implementation that they make. That would be cool to see. Or they just fix the thing because
the weird thing is almost every AI company is like not focusing on database engineering. Like everyone's using like SQLite or just throwing stuff in MD files. I mean, there really isn't like any database engineers like on these teams. I mean, maybe there is. They're just thinking like maybe the AI will solve it.
Could be. Yeah, we have to wait over time and see. So I'm going to point out this release that I don't normally pin releases or point them out, but I just thought this was interesting that they added audio inputs and tool outputs and introduced streaming real-time V3 conversations. And this is a patch note for Codex. I think we'll still need to see some time on how that plays out, but this is good to note because I think in a couple of weeks that's could be something that's really useful. All right, let's move over to the Anthropic platform. Yes, before we move on to Anthropic.
Well, Codex, they put in the voice chat, the real-time voice chat system.
Yes.
Had the first Jarvis moment where.
Let's jump into it. So
that's the big update this week.
Yeah, this is I had its own. I gave it its own slide.
Oh.
All right. So here we have Jason.
Hey chat, let's have a projector. Write my name. One moment. So we got to prepare some launch materials.
They brought in TARDIS now, so from Interstellar.
Absolutely. Simple first pass. Leave voice in the desktop app. Voice makes it easier to move work forward naturally. But use your computer without breaking flow.
I got this feature idea for like some last minute polish we could do. I'm gonna ramble a little bit and then I want you to ask some questions and push back at me.
It looks like we can get pretty far just inside the shader since it already has the audio and phase inputs.
Codex, can you go check the feature flags and make sure they're all configured properly?
Wait, there's also a new bug report in the feedback channel. Can you expand on your thread, make a pull request, find the cause? Let me take a look. Found it. It was that feature flag. Totally misconfigured.
Copies. We got everything set for lunch, right?
Yeah, I think we're ready to go.
You get the idea. Just set a goal and then tag the team for review later. I'll check with you from my phone.
Honestly, this shows you what the Codex team is actually like. This is who they are. They're just like dumb idiots.
Well, I saw Jason, so that guy that you see on camera right here, the guy in the opening, he actually talks about, yesterday he went live and talked about his actual setup with Codex, and I recall him saying that he has his hands behind his back, and at his desk he has 2 foot pedals, and one of them is a foot pedal for talking, and the other one is the enter button, and he says that that's actually like, it's an intentional thing, so that's actually how he's driving. He's like literally hits a foot pedal, talks, hits enter.
Why do you think that pushes it? Because the keyboard as well, I think, is the most nonsense hardware I've ever seen.
The keyboard.
I don't know if you ever started. They come up with that like one-handed keyboard, MIDI controller with like voice.
Last week, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, who's that for? Because no engineer wants to use it.
I think it might be a case of throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks, right? Like maybe you end up a lot of
But also,
buyers.
they have a lot of people
I
that
think
they can't work on the project, right? So it's like, what are you going to work on? Create a cool thing.
Yeah.
But I'd like to step back for a minute. This may look gimmicky to people and like, oh, I tried it out and being off my keyboard and riffing out an idea. Yes, there's delay, and yes, when it's thinking it's quiet, it should play like some sort of elevator music for you while it's doing it. But it is a phase where you're moving into and you're just riffing. I was like doing my dishes. I'm building out a brand new product and ideas, and I'm not at the keyboard anymore. And that is very powerful. It's the whole Jarvis moment. And this is only going to get better. So it may look kind of but like sitting there with the team and doing that, well, that's awesome.
I think the reason some people think differently on it is because they think that it's just text to speech or speech to text. It's 2 models. You're using the instant model, right? That's who you're talking with, and then it's calling to the other model, and it's taking. It's like anyone use Super Whisper or Whisper? Does anybody use it to, like WhisperFlow? Anybody use it to make your text better, right? Improve your formatting. So that's what's happening with it's using ChatGPT Instant, right? Plus the voice, and you're conversating with that model. It takes what you say, like he just said, oh, check the feature. It writes a better prompt out, gives it to the 5.6 agent, and then it can read the reasoning live, and so it's checking the reasoning live. So it's able to respond to you back and forth. So it's a dual model approach. So you're able to use a like instant talk conversation, but the instant model is actually pretty dumb, but it's checking the reasoning live. And that's what you're talking like. You can be like, check this feature, do this. It's like, okay, great, 5.6 is checking it, and then it's steering it actively, and then it's keeping a conversation with you going while it's still reading the reasoning. So it's actually pretty nice how it works architecturally.
I used the Grill Me just to test it, Grill Me skill from Matt. It's just asking me all these questions, and I'm just doing my own little stuff in my house, not even paying attention to the keyboard, and it's able to just kind of answer these questions. And I like that. I think that's the movement forward that we're going to see a lot more.
Well, and in that case, it uses chunking, right? So it's like dual thread plus chunking, and so it's capturing all the information for you, and then it steers it. It chooses when to steer. So ChatGPT Instant is pretty good at that, right? And I think that's just a problem that the Codex has had that hasn't really solved that Claude has. Claude will ask you questions. Codex is really bad about asking questions, keeping it up. ChatGPT Instant is great at collecting information and then putting it through.
Has anyone else used the ChatGPT for either this feature or the new voice model that's really fast?
If anyone has one question added to that, do you know if it supports multiple personas, like what they did? Like if 2 people are talking, does it know it's 2 persons, maybe with 2 different roles and
ChatGPT Instant does have that.
Yeah.
Probably using diarization.
Because then it could work pretty well in meetings.
Because you can train ChatGPT to your voice, and you can identify to the voice. And like on ChatGPT, it's not the Codex side.
Yeah.
And you're limited to like the 4 personas right now, right? It's like TARDIS from Interstellars. Like I honestly think that's the best thing they've added because like Codex's personality is really kind of dull anyways, so mapping it to Interstellar's TARDIS bot was kind of nice.
The voice is still kind of dry, but it's like where we're going is kind of away from the keyboard kind of communication that I personally like.
And most normies will love this. I mean, my customers were like, "Oh, this is blowing away. I want to see this," right? And even some of my employees started using this week. I try to get to test them on Claude versus Codex, and one of my sales guys is just loving it because he can just talk back and forth, and it improved. Because the problem was before he was using text to speech directly, and then it was just translating to what he said. And the Codex model was not 5.6 is like, you're an idiot. I'm just going to start doing all this stuff. But having it go through a translation layer through Instant, it kind of cleans up what you were trying to tell it, and it's a little better.
Well, what also came out this week in relation to that is the Anthropic side. I think it's just called.
I missed this one.
But it's only for mobile app and desktop apps, right?
Yeah, I used it for the desktop, and I did not. My takeaway was I'm not going to use it. So that's what I remember. But I also have to imagine that you have to think a bit from the point of view of this is like step 0, right? And they're going to iterate on it, and so we should see maybe something better.
Well, with steering, it actually makes sense. I can be talking and just be fine. I mean, that's how I work anyways. I just use, speech to text.
Has anyone used the Claude voice control since it came out this week by any chance? Did anyone give it a try? No? It's all right.
About voice, there's things like when you can use it, it's for building when you build UI, and when you want to fix UI, I mean, I always use voice very often because every time I need to add some orders, fix some things, and I don't want to text it anytime, every time, and I just communicate and talk.
You're using the Claude one?
No.
The GPT one?
I use Whistle. It's an app, for example.
Whistle.
Oh, Whisper.
Whisper.
Yeah, you should be using Whisper in here for the most part.
If you use Whisper Flow though, switch to Super Whisper, or it's way better. So.
Yeah.
I do agree though. Yeah, like voice mode is so much. Who here prefers typing over voice? I'm just curious. Do we have any typers in the room?
Depends on
if you're
it's exactly like he said that I think some things I want to type quickly, something like that. But the voice stuff is when you have to explain, like UI, you have to fix these borders and fonts and all the time, and it's a hell of a lot of typing.
Well, you can say do this real quick, really fast, but it's 40 words per minute what we usually speak.
Yeah.
Or write, and speaking's around 150 words.
But I find the speaking.
So you're like X amount of time faster.
Yeah. But it's a different type of task. There's I need a lot of input to the model. I need to explain it clearly what I want to implement. I know exactly how I want my UI to look like. So that's a lot of explanation. But when I do something like a coding task, it's a very precise, simple thing. It's easy to write that, like a very detailed.
Because if I do that, finish it.
Something like pretty much. But when I start speaking like that, it's a different thing. It doesn't work. But anyway, I mean, it's just my personal trait. But I like to type shorter things. But then when I have to explain a lot of details, I have to speak.
Yeah.
Often you have
copy. Actually, go ahead.
Sorry, I just want to add. Often you have copy-paste things, and it's like you're taking it from different places. That might be a workflow problem because the agent should have access to the places where you copy and paste. But I do that a lot, like copy and paste different blocks. And I don't. Does it work with voice? Can I copy and paste? No.
You can tell it to. It's just gonna be slow.
Okay. Yeah, and then the benefit is gone, right?
Also, if you're copying and pasting like a key, the agent will get pissed off, right? It's like, oh no.
Let's go over to the lead.
Sorry.
Actually, when I was trying to lower my stress levels from handling too many terminals more manually before I knew how to hand off any of the terminals to the other agents, I was under a lot of stress constantly, and I was actively trying to figure out how to reduce burnout. And when I have 5 fintech roommates who are not an AI in San Francisco, and they told me both of them independently they don't care. They're like hardcore. They're like, you know, but these guys from like outside of AI told me like, oh, this is so fun. This is so great. So that's like when it broke the UX kind of level where normal people, right, are using like AI for some reason, right? And then I researched, so I switched over to voice for all my terminals, and I talked to them, and they talk back also. And so suddenly, like all my stress levels like seemed to drop like a ton, and I wasn't tired anymore. And then I researched it. I had it kind of like research like how many bits of information am I processing by reading off like 9 terminals all the time, right? Like, and I was burning myself out a lot by just taking in too much stuff visually. And my hands were getting tired too. It was like, and this was months ago, obviously, but it was like, once I switched over to like mostly voice and then like obviously Obsidian, things like that, memory, like my stress levels and like just being induced by the AI like went down like 90%. And also I found out from the AI that there's actually research that shows like biologically you're actually like venting kind of when you're talking, you're actually lowering your cortisol levels by talking, and by typing you're actually raising your like simplistic, but it's like there's actually like you're creating more stress by trying to read stuff and also interact with it by typing. And that's why even those fintech guys like immediately noticed that there was a UX improvement.
That's
so it's biological.
It makes a lot of sense. Well,
It's not just taste, it's actually just biology.
this is awesome to hear.
It's very, because when you, late in the day, when you're already tired, you run into a problem that you try to make, the Fable just doesn't get it, like damn stupid model. And you have to explain that, you have to read the outputs and then write the correction prompts that you have. It's extremely stressful, tiring, fatigue, and really, but that thing, like if you can just talk to the model and it talks back to you, that's far more quicker and easier. That having to think about how do I explain this problem again to the stupid model that didn't get that the first time, I have to type that again and again. That's, I totally